So me and my girlfriend are walking down the street the other day, and this guy stops us. He wants to holler at her. So he introduces himself, he asks her name, he pays her a compliment, and while they're having this conversation, I'm putting on my coach's hat, and I'm calculating where I would rate him. Well, I'd probably give him about a 5 physically, the way based on his looks. But I was thinking, but the way he's being so respectful and sweet, I'd probably bump him up to about a 7. My girlfriend must have been doing the same calculating in her head, and her number must have been considerably lower because she brushes him off. And he goes away all rejected and everything, like anybody would. And we keep walking down the street. So I ask her, what was wrong with him? She says to me, girl, I got standards. Okay. So that got me thinking, what are our standards? Do we have standards? So I want to talk about what things do we actually put in place that are non-negotiables, and what things do we have on our desire or dream list. We'll be talking about this next on Love Relationships Real Talk. One of the first things that I always have my clients do when I'm coaching someone in a relationship is to maintain their list of non-negotiables. So a lot of us initially, when I first started in this work and also looking for my own partner, would list out all of the things that I wanted in my dream guy. As time went on, I started to learn that there really is a difference between a list of desires and a list of non-negotiables. So a list of desires are basically things that you totally want in your dream person, whether those things are attainable or not. And actually, a lot of coaches suggest that you shoot for the moon, go as far as you want to go, ask for whatever you want to ask. So you have your list of wants and you have your non-negotiables. And what I've come to realize is that your list of non-negotiables is the thing that you really want to take seriously and hone in on, because those are the things that are going to add to the foundation of your relationship, maintain your relationship, and bring substance to your relationship as time goes on into 10, 20, 50 years of being together. So it's the list of non-negotiables that you really want to pay close attention to. So I want to distinguish your desire list, the list of the things that you want in your partner, and your non-negotiables list. So for me, on my list of what I want in my partner, that list that really hadn't been worked out yet in terms of determining whether or not these are must-haves, on that list for me, I had that my partner needed to be taller than me. I personally have not been attracted to men that are shorter than I am, like a whole head shorter or whatever the case might be. And so on my list that I at the time was calling a non-negotiables list was that I had to be with someone who was like 6 feet or taller. And I realized over time that that was actually going to negate a lot of men that I could possibly meet. And so I took it off my list because it really wasn't something that I couldn't live with. Like you have on your non-negotiables list. Your non-negotiables list are things that you really cannot live with, or things that you absolutely will not tolerate in your relationship. So I have now shifted as I'm maintaining this list and honing it for the expectations that I have in my own relationship right now, into a non-negotiable list, which stays pretty solid and it doesn't change over time too much, but I definitely can add things to it as my expectations as Mark and I grow. So what I'm suggesting here is that you throw that desire list out the door, because that desire list are superficial things that you might consider non-negotiable, but really are negotiable. For example, if you have on your want list that you want someone with long dark hair and blue eyes and 120 pounds that adored you, then those are nice things to have, and that can be a person that you're actually looking for, but it makes you very limited in your options as you're looking for that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, or that you want to commit to in a long-term fashion. So you need to distinguish whether or not your list is based on superficial things that you can actually do without, or are they things that are character based and habitual that you really do not tolerate. So now we'll talk about the non-negotiables list that you might maintain for your love relationship. The non-negotiable list are things that you do not tolerate as being a part of your life. Now, these things can be based on your past life experiences that you've had in your upbringing, or whatever that you absolutely cannot do not want to be a part of your life anymore, because when you were growing up, you didn't have any choice. But now as an adult, you definitely have a choice about what people you want to interact with in your life, and especially as your life mate. The reason why this even comes up as an issue is, I'm sure many of you know, when we become adults, we attract the people that influenced us as young people, as children. And so we are drawn to those people because that's what we know. And so we have to learn as adults to distinguish, okay, these are behaviors that I'm familiar with, but are they behaviors that I want to maintain in my life today? And some of those things are yes, and some of those things are absolutely no. So I want to share with you 2 non-negotiables that I've come to have on my list that I was totally unaware of initially as I was looking for my life mate, because I didn't know myself well enough yet to have them on my list. So one thing is something from the past, a past relationship, actually not having anything to do necessarily with my childhood, but actually it does. As I'm sitting here talking, like midstream, I'm thinking, my dad used to smoke cigarettes. He quit years ago, but I ended up being in a very serious long-term relationship with someone who smoked cigarettes. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it too much. I pretty much accepted that person because he was a very good person. He pursued me relentlessly, which I hadn't had that experience before with a man. And so there were a lot of things that drew me to him. But he had this one habit that I didn't necessarily like, but it wasn't something at the time that would deter me from being in a relationship with him. Now that I'm looking in hindsight to that relationship, there were a lot of things about the habit of him smoking that I did not like. Certain things like him having to leave to go out, like if we were at a concert or something like that, and during intermission, I would be sitting in the seat and he would have to go outside and get a smoke. Or his craving for smoking was strongest after dinner. Everywhere we went at any point in time, after we ate our dinner meal, he would have to go get a smoke. So that could be on a romantic dinner, it could be on a family dinner, it could be in anywhere that he would have to go out and get a smoke. And those things sort of bothered me at the time, but I accepted them because I loved him, and we were together. And so this was just something that I was accepting about him. And it really wasn't until after we broke up that I realized how problematic that habit was for me. And so one thing that I realized was, especially as I have evolved and grown into the person that I am now, that health is a huge component in my life. Like, I incorporate healthy physical activity every day in my life. And I just wonder now how that would have played out in that relationship, given that he was a smoker and didn't particularly like doing exercise. Didn't like exercise at all. We never exercised. I exercised because I had my own, issues that I had to work out and I needed to exercise. And plus I grew up as an athlete, but he never did exercise. And I really, again, did not take that into consideration, because another thing on my non-negotiable list today would be whether or not the person that I'm with interacted with me or engaged with me in regards to exercise. So Mark and I, we walk every single day. And when we have the time, we walk up to 6 or 7 miles a day with our dog, Ziggy. And so this is hugely important to me. And as I mentioned in other videos, this is actually a time where we have quality couple time. When we're on our walks, we have quality couple time. And that really is every single day. Every morning in the dark, he and I and Ziggy are out doing our morning walk before we go to work. This is our time together. This is our time to bond and talk and relate to each other in an intimate way. So it's a huge part of our relationship. And if I were still with this other person, I would bet money that we probably wouldn't have this incorporated into our daily lives. And it's really important to me that it is, as I am the person that I am today. So these are things that have evolved for me. I don't want to list out at all things that you should or could put on your non-negotiables list, because your non-negotiables list is your list, and it has everything to do with how you're living your life and where you want to take your life, and where you want to take your life with your partner and within your relationship. And so it's up to you to put together your list of non-negotiables, but you need to have a conscious list of what you will expect and accept in your life and what you will not. If you don't, you're going to be getting a lot of whatever coming into your space and taking up time when really you do not have time for that. Every day is precious and every minute needs to be valued. And we shouldn't just be hanging out with people because we're bored or just because. We should be hanging out people because they bring value into our lives. So I hope that helped. There are some people who have been asking about the non-negotiables list in the comments section. Keep the comments coming. If you have any further questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like my videos and to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time on Love Relationships Real Talk.